Peace. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Civil Alerts. This is your host, St. Asha. You're here for our edition, our Thursday night edition of More Insight. Tonight, we're going to continue our Hidden History series, and we have with us Yaffa, and the subject matter is True Americans and Europeans. As you know, usually with our history segments, we cover items that are not ever addressed within the colleges and within the universities. Within the colleges and the primary grammar schools. So, this is very essential and it's needed because, even like there was a listener who had called some time ago and was telling me that he actually had taken a couple of segments from last year, and he actually did a presentation for his daughter's school over in California and left them with a couple of copies, of some of the broadcasts. So, this is very essential. It's good to know that our listeners are really tuning in and sharing the information. When I say true Americans, I say that because right now, still, amongst the masses, people get kind of confused about who actually is who, and when the word American comes up, typically people will not even think about anyone that has a copper tone complexion. And then even with dealing with issues in regards to nationality, some people still get caught up on the phrases white and black, and they say that over and over again. And, what I see with that is that, when you really use the accurate titles and the names about, who is who, then it puts the whole history in more of a clearer perspective and a focus. So, about 5 months ago, Yaffa was on with Taj, and that segment was in regards to stateless persons. And, since then I had an opportunity to speak with Yaffa on several occasions. And she really went in and was good at painting a historical sketch in regards to the whole concept of who the indentured servants were and the actual the Indianization Acts and things that came about as a result of, these European indentured servants fleeing from, the plantations to come and join and be with the original Americans, the Moors, the people of America. So this, you all are in for a treat. We're going to take a little break and put on a little bit of music before we continue. So be sure to have, your pen and your paper ready, because as always, all of the guests and the family of Civil Alert, they always, bring some jewels to the table. At any time during the broadcast, if you have a question, just press option 1. You will be placed in the host queue. If you're in the chat room, you can dial 858-357-8450. Again, that's 858-357-8450, and that's option 1. We also are going to address frequently asked questions, because Yaffa has mentioned that, she still, gets quite a bit of emails, and some people may need clarity on certain situations. And with nationality being a big question, as she mentioned, that a lot of people bring to her attention. But if you have anything that you like to address, just feel free to bring it to the table. All right, so we'll be back with you in a moment. All right, and we are back. You're live on Civil Alert, 858-357-8450. And we have with us Yaffa, and this is your host, and Asha. Yaffa, welcome.
Hey, C-Star, how are you doing tonight?
I'm very, very well. Sister, how are you doing?
I'm splendid. Just kind of in relax mode. I've had my cell phone turned off since December 20th, and I only check it every now and then. I'm not really looking at text messages, emails, and or any of that. I'm just not there. But I'm well. I'm attempting to recover and get a certain level of my energy and power back, because baby has basically just kind of taken over and dominated my world. You know what I mean?
You said something. That's good. You said a word that I don't hear too often. Splendid. And you had a Calgon moment. So because, many people may not be aware that maybe on right now, but you, December 20th, that was when you pretty much had wrapped up your show segment. But you didn't officially stop, doing shows, but that was your the start of your sabbatical. Is that correct?
Well, yes and no. I officially ended my show, the American, what is it called? American Empire Restored Blog Talk Radio show. I officially ended it on December 20th after, I think, 51 episodes, starting from January 27th of 2011 and ending on December 20th of 2013. I went for almost 2 years. And
wow.
I'm done.
Yeah, you put a lot of work in, and it's something that you say that, you had to take a pause, and I know you had the chance to have your phone off, and I know you've probably been getting a lot of messages and texts, because I remember, after that show that you and Tasha did in regards to stateless persons, and me and you talked, and Yaffa, I thought I was going to be going to sleep that night, but I had a copy of that, what was it, the HR House Resolution 33, if I'm not mistaken, in regards to the Congress giving acknowledgement in regards to the formation, of the United States government as we know it, and giving homage and reverence to the Iroquois Confederation.
That's House Resolution 192, I believe.
Okay, I'm off. Oh,
that's okay. You're probably thinking about HJR. About 9. You know what? I might be getting mixed up. Let me just look real quick, and I'll tell you the exact thing that it is. Why don't we just do that?
Okay.
I'm thinking about HJR. You're probably correct, because HJR 192 was about 1933. My bad, and the confiscation of the gold. So I'm thinking about House Resolution 339, I think it is. But you're correct. My bad. Absolve me. I should have kept my mouth shut. It's all good. Because, Yaffa, I see so much information and reading so much, and I'm kind of glad that you have brought that up because, I had purchased a copy of The Great Law of Peace through RB Bay Publications. And you know how, when you purchase books, but you might not get a chance to read everything. So when I had looked at the House Resolution, I said, let me take a moment to read it. So, shortly thereafter, I did. And so, that was good that you had brought that up because I could see, the similarities, the vibration and everything, how everything was structured as far as councils, the division amongst the different branches. That wasn't me that brought that up. That I didn't mean to cut you off. That wasn't me that brought that up. That came from my young brother Asir, the Duke of Tears.
Asir!
The called Super Heru Radio, yes, Asir.
Oh, okay, okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And one of my homegirls brought it to my attention. She's like, I need you to check into this, and yada, yada, yada. Asir said he's been looking for it for a while, and one of his listeners, just out of nowhere, I guess, sent it to him, and he was like, oh, wow, I've been looking for something like this. So I went, she didn't know what it was called and whatever. She just thought it was important. I want you to listen to the show, And she asked me, and the next time I talked to her, she said, did you listen? No. And the next time I talked to her, had you listened? No. And the third time she listened, she asked me, had I listened? I still hadn't listened. I said, the next time I talk to this sister, I better make it my business to have listened to that show. So I went and listened to the show. So the fourth time she asked me, I was like, yes, I've listened to the show. I got the name of the document, which she missed. I've gone and found the document. I've read the document, and I'm clear on the document, which is House Resolution 331.
Okay, 331. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay.
So
yeah, everything links up. So you know, I had made mention of that because when you get additional information, it's like okay, you want to dig and research and get more data. And I have to say I'm glad that you're on tonight because you do a good job at explaining who the true Americans are. Prior to coming on, I took a look at the site that you had talked about the original American.com, and it's obvious, the people that have the registration on that and who's selling merchandise on that site, that they are not original Americans. Yaffa, can you please share with us when did, and I always ask everybody this question, when they come on the air, when did it click to you about who the true Americans are? When did it, or did you always know, or was it a situation where?
No, I did not. No, when I was a child, I always knew something was wrong. I probably from when I was maybe age 5, I always knew something was wrong. I didn't know what. Kind of like Morpheus said. I couldn't put a finger on it, but there was something wrong with the world, and it just didn't register right. I couldn't get a grip. I was a child. I couldn't get a grip on it. By the time I was, I think, 12, I remember sitting on my front porch one day in San Francisco, California, where I grew up. And I had on some hot pants. It was a summer day, probably in the late 60s or early 70s, I'm thinking. And I was sitting out there. I remember looking at my thighs and thinking, I wonder why they call these white-looking people on the reservations red, because, I'm looking at my skin. I look red to me. I don't know where that came from. It was, I guess the ancestors have been trying to tell me for a long time, but no, I didn't know. I do recall, like Lady My Aunt is better at history than I am, and she has one of those Spitfire memories, like Brother Bobby Hemmett, total recall, damn near. But she was saying, Yaffa, when I was going to school, because she's a little bit older than me, I think I'm like 55 now, 54, October 1958, whatever time that would make me, whatever age that would make me. But at any rate, she was saying, when I was going to school, and I remember history better than you, and I'm a little older than you, they never called us African. They never called us that. They called us Negro. The history books were talking about Negroes and the slave trade and Negroes. But this African thing, they didn't really get into that until the 80s, heavy. But my grandmother told me that her grandfather, Silas Hamilton, told her, you make sure that our children know that we didn't come, because he could pass for white if he wanted to. He chose not to. But I guess he looked like a so-called European, and as such probably sat amongst them without them really knowing what they were talking to or who they were talking to. And he said, I see what they're getting ready to do, and you make damn sure that all of our children know that we didn't come from no Africa, because they're getting ready to try to make everybody believe we came from Africa. We didn't come from no Africa. We make sure our children know that. That was, hell, he told her that when she was, a child. So I guess the so-called powers that want to be have been planning or laying out this foundation for a long time, because people have to remember they plan at least a few decades, maybe a century or two in advance. And the reason they can keep track of it is because they keep inbreeding through incest a lot of the time. So that way the information is passed down, and you don't lose it if you keep sexing up your own folks and marrying into your own bloodline. You'll always know what the agenda is, because you haven't had a cut in your ancestry the way most other people that have some sense will do, so you can stay in charge. But they lay a lot of things out as a plan. And when these things come to pass, a lot of people inadvertently perceive and believe, oh, prophecy. It's a prophecy. No, it's not prophecy. These are people that lay well thought-out plans. And because you're disconnected and disjointed